2 years ago, we relocated from Texas to Colorado Springs to be with family. I wasn't looking for something else to do. Our previous company had changed the comp plan, and I had laid down the business. I had enrolled in Bible college. That was where my heart was. So life changed directions for us. Then my daughter got started on these products, and I watched an amazing transformation in her. And I have to admit that since our company quit on us, I had really missed having a reason to invite people into my life and to do what God had really called me to do. And that is to love on people and help them discover their identity in Christ. And so one of the first things that Tammy did was put me on the phone with Brent. I got off of that phone and I had 2 words: authentic and genuine. Then she put me on a Zoom with Katie. And I thought, wow, could this really be? Then she put us on a Zoom with Darren, and it locked me in. So hearing those 3 stories, their heart, who they were, the vision of this company drew me back in quickly, knowing this company is the real deal. And so I'm back in something that I absolutely love, and that is helping people. So what is this business? It's helping people. That's what gets me out of bed every morning, Todd. I look forward with great anticipation to see all of y'all. It excites me to hear what you're doing in this company. It excites me to hear the lives that you're changing across this globe. And so when I get up in the morning, I get ready to go to work. I'm dressed, I'm at my desk. This IPA is probably my favorite thing I look forward to in the morning. So as I leave my house for errands, I have to be ready, because when I get off this call, my phone starts ringing or the texts start coming in, and I start appointments and meetings. So in my errands, when I'm out running around, I need to be dressed and presentable, because I never know when I'm going to run into another Todd, Rowland, or Brent Palmer. And so people buy us before they buy our products. We got to remember that we are magnets. We attract who we are, not who we want to be. And so that was a big learning thing for me. We also have to learn how to communicate with people, to be more interested, not interesting. We have to learn how to ask questions, share your story. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so here at Partner Co., I'm so excited. Having been in this industry, I recognize a system. You have to have 3 components of a system. You've got to have people, a plan, and products. We have all of that here. So if you want to be successful, you got to follow the system. And just like everybody that works at McDonald's, they got to go to Hamburger University. They have to learn the system. So here we have the system of growth. Again, I never saw myself delivering vitamins out of the trunk of my car here in Colorado Springs or slinging drops. I am looking to build a business of residual income that will pay me for life. I'm so serious about this. I'm not playing around. You know, it's about the money, but it's not about the money. Money only makes you more of what you already are. I understand the power of multiplication. I don't want just one drop store. I want hundreds. That means that I have to learn how to cast vision and help people see what this can be for them. And so you got to figure out what gets you out of bed in the morning. What do you want your life to look like? Do you have enough money to cover your bills? Or do you have enough to cover your dreams and visions that are waiting on you to decide to fulfill them? For Larry and I, it's our 2 grandsons. We make dreams come true in this house, on this property. One's in a CAD program, that's designing and engineering. The other's in a pilot program. He'll have his pilot's license before he gets his driver's license. That's going to call for an airplane and a hangar. How much is that going to cost?
I can tell you.
And so that's another thing that gets me out of bed in the morning. The goals and dreams. of our boys, because we know that we have been put here to help make dreams come true. It takes money to live in this world. It takes money to fulfill dreams and desires. So I would ask you, what are you dreaming of? Do you know what you want? Who do you want to help? Do you know what that's going to cost? Do you have a plan? Because at Partner Co, we make dreams come true. Thanks, Todd.
Brenda, you're so magnetic and you're so knowledgeable that I'm scared people that are brand new didn't even understand how many nuggets you gave through there. So we're going to go get Andrea's story, and then we're going to spend another 5 or 10 minutes just asking you some questions. I'll go back and ask some things that you mentioned there.
Okay.
But Andrea, would you mind sharing real quick, because we're growing so fast, although everybody knows you, the new people might not know you. I'll just say this about Andrea. She is hyper smart from an analytical standpoint. She's one of the best onboarders, trainers, back office people that exist in our entire company.
Very detailed.
Very detailed.
I call her my spreadsheet girl. Everybody needs a spreadsheet girl. She's way more detailed than I am, and I'm pretty detailed. So I love having her take and challenge me a little bit on all that.
But more importantly, you've now become a massive team builder. Your income has tenfolded the last couple of years. You were like Sarah early on. You actually worked for Brent, and now then, you're like, Brent, you work for me now, buddy. I'll pay your bills. But if you don't mind, share your start, where you came from in corporate America. And if you don't mind, I want you to tell the American Express card bill thing that you, that I just love that story. And then we're going to ask y'all some questions.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on here. I knew I was helping with moderating. I did not catch this part, and it's really hard to go after Brenda for a variety of reasons. She has my dream hair, and then she's a great speaker. So, and Ashley, that was a big compliment to say that I am more detailed than you. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to run with it. I will grow into that compliment. But my background, you're right. I did come from corporate America. I worked in the back end of real estate. So I didn't sell houses, but kind of the data, the spreadsheet side of things for 17 years. And I'm a good little worker bee. So I never really worried about, having a job, having a paycheck, had a decent amount of success doing what I was doing until. So 2008, 2009, the whole housing crisis thing happened and took out my career. And I had small kids at the time. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go home and I'll figure something out. And I picked my head up a year later and I was still unemployed. And I don't want you to live it, but I want you to imagine it, that if you pictured if 75% of your household's income disappeared for a year, but 100% of your bills kept coming in, what would happen to your finances? And for me, it was devastating. Had no more savings account, had no more emergency fund, was 2 months behind on my mortgage. It actually gets my eyes a little, but we're going to try not to go there. But literally was praying for grocery money, and we never went without because we lived on God money. We were incredibly provided for. It was incredible. But devastating, terrifying. And I say that God just knows I'm really stubborn. And he knew that I would have probably never been brave enough to try this industry if it didn't take absolute devastation in my financial life. But I had somebody come to me and say, hey, I'm feeding 4 kids. You could feed 2 kids. Just give it a try. And I said, oh, I'm shy. Like, you guys know me. I'm a back of the room person. I'm the happiest behind everybody else. And I'm like, oh, I'm shy. I'm not outgoing. I don't have a sales background, whatever. And they said, no, 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 no. We will pick you up and we will help you every step of the way. And you guys know my mentor, he's phenomenal and really changed the whole trajectory of our life. So it wasn't overnight. We came in, we put our head down, we worked hard, but really have created more options for my family than I ever thought possible. And the only way we do that, and this is what makes it fun. Like, I am a selfish little turtle and I want my kids taken care of. But what really lights a fire is that now I have the privilege and the blessing of I get to go to different places all over, and I get to hear about people winning, people saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much better I feel. And then, oh my gosh, my bills are paid. Like, all of that is such a gift Like I say that this is the most selfish industry in the entire world because we get blessed by blessing other people. Like what's better than that? So I'm going to tell you that little story that Todd talked about. So many, many moons ago, I was a part. So hopefully everybody knows about Limu. It's one of the brands in Partner Co. It's a beautiful products, highly recommend, drink it every day. And that was the company that I came into this industry with. And many moons ago, I was invited by corporate to come into our corporate office and to be a part of kind of a higher level group. And that's a really incredible honor. And I had been doing some things in the business, but what the company maybe didn't know is that I was still underwater financially. And so they invited me in, they paid for me to get there. They were going to pay for my hotel, but I was literally, well, we'll just say having a panic attack walking into the hotel because I knew that when I got there, I was going to have to put a credit card or a debit card, something down, and I had nothing. I'd left my kids in California. I was in Florida. I had maybe $27 in my bank account at that moment. And I knew I couldn't spend it because that was going to feed the babies back in California. And so I'm walking in and I'm trying to fake it, right? Because I'm in with these other leaders and I'm supposed to be doing something big. And I walk in and I must not be a good faker. I have a glass face. So you probably know exactly what I'm thinking. And there's this gentleman that at the time I didn't know very well. And I kind of walk up to the desk like this, the front desk, and this gentleman that I recognize, but he's kind of a big deal and I'm whatever. So I don't say, oh, hi, whatever. And the lady said, we're going to need a credit card to check you in and, do that emergency, whatever, if I throw a party in the room, whatever that's for. And I'm like, and this gentleman takes his American Express and he just slides it across and says, no, just put it on mine. And I'm like bawling, right? Like trying to keep it together. But it was one of those moments that they don't realize what a gift that was, right? And I'm like, oh, thanks so much. And I explained it to him later. Okay. So that was kind of the gift that I got from Brent Palmer, in case you guys didn't know who the gentleman was. And it was such a moment where I felt less than. I was so scared my card was going to be declined, like all those things that hopefully you haven't felt, but if you have, you know what I'm saying. And it was terrifying, but he created that comfort. Okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'll change the tire for him if he ever needs it. I'll learn how just to do it. And so grateful. We've worked together now for almost 15 years. And, he's been an incredible blessing to our lives. But then I had a moment. Okay. So fast forward, and I am now in Tahiti because we were privileged enough to go on the ultimate trip last year. And I'm with Brent Palmer and Dr. Crystal, and they've got their fancy, heavy American Express cards. You guys know I'm talking about, like the big ones. And we're going to get souvenirs for our families that are back home. And the store wouldn't take their fancy American Express cards. And I had my little old Visa, right? And I'm like, I've got you. And I'll tell you, it was such a gift in that moment because, and I'm like literally, I'm a crier, guys, but I am crying in this gift shop somewhere in Tahiti. Think about you're praying for groceries and now you're on a luxury vacation. Like I've never dreamt of anything. I used to camp. I would still camp, but like camping was a vacation. I had never vacationed. Like who does that, right? Not this kind of person. And then to be able to do, it's a small thing. I'm sure they paid me back. I don't even know because it was too overwhelming in that moment. But I was so grateful to say, oh, not like I went from you had to cover the emergency, whatever it's called. What is it called? The deposit at the hotel to I was able to make sure that your family got a little goodie when you came home. And just kind of the juxtaposition of my station in life, all because of one, this beautiful industry, but two incredible mentors and a system and all of that's been able to create so much opportunity in our life. So I think I overtalked. I'm so sorry. But that was my story, Todd, and the American Express story that.
When you start making $10,000 a week, Andrea, you become one of them. So it's good to take us back to you were like all the rest of us when you started. You didn't just arrive at this crazy amount of money. But
can I?
Oh yeah, Brent,
can I say something?
Here. Please.
Just because she sits here today and she's about to go on a 15-day road trip through Europe with her daughter, and here's where I want everybody on this call to get something. We all start at the same place. That's why Todd and Ashley's like, don't compare, because we all start. So I leaned in with Andrea when she was a part of enrolling one person, turning 1 to 2, and then one quits, and then she gets another one, and then this one falls off. And it's like, it's tough at the beginning because it's just you making it all happen. But over time, with consistency, you end up building a team. And then you wake up on a Friday and you're like, heck, I don't feel like I'm working as hard for this money I'm making. That's called leverage. And today, Andrea is headed for a 15-day road trip across Europe with a new team to expand their business with her daughter by her side. And going back to Brenda's comment, Todd, where she says the beauty of this industry is it compresses time. You tell me another industry for the price of a kid's Xbox or a baseball bat that you can come in and within 12 years build leverage, 12 to 15 years, that now you're traveling across Europe. I mean, it's incredible the possibilities here. So I just wanted to share that because they're in Nashville right now, about to take off across Europe. So
I would love
amazing.
to add about this real quick about Andrea's story is that being a single mom and homeschooled her 2 kids, she was able to build her business alongside her kids were able to come alongside of her and be a part of this business with her and still keep staying at home, still keep homeschooling her kids and still be able to travel the world and provide for them the way she's been able to. That's what this is about, right? This is about being able to be able to still be with your family. If you had gone back to the traditional way, you would have had to leave your kids 8 hours a day and let the school system raise your kids, basically, right? And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your choice. But here you have options and choices in life. And Andrea just chose to take control of her own life and lead her life and bring her kids alongside of that. And that's what we have here with our hands on with Partner Co. And Andrea, I love your story. I think you need to share that so much more.
So we've got about 7 minutes and we're going to flip over and let Andrea start interviewing our new people. But one thing that they both mentioned that I've always said is, and Ashley says it all the time, is that a good life is the biggest enemy of a great life. It's a lot of times when we're on our biggest pain point that we're willing to change, as Bob Budd put on his interview, take our net from one side of the boat, as Jesus said, and throw it on the other side of the boat, and really just start over with a little bit of faith into something that is actually designed to get you ahead. Jobs are not designed to get you ahead. Once you realize that, you can never really work a job again if financial independence is a goal of yours, because you'll never get there in that world. So here's some IPA questions. So we'll begin with Brenda. You mentioned that when you were being recruited by Tammy Maltby, that Tammy initially put you on a 3-way call with Brent. And then because you were a leader, she ended up working her way up through some corporate people too. Would you talk a minute? Because this, I think, is the number one thing people don't do. They do not bring in skilled people to help in the process. So talk about the differences that made when you were put on those 3-way calls.
Well, for me, it allowed me to see, first of all, Brent's heart. I mean, he was the first one she put me on a Zoom with. And I'm just going to say, y'all, we have technology today that we didn't have 20 years ago. Zooms are amazing, you know, because you can get, people want to know, are you the real deal? They want to look at your eyes. You know, the eyes of are the windows of our soul. And so we just need to know, is this thing real? There's so many misconceptions about MLM today. And I love breaking that down. But seeing the person made such a difference. Hearing Brent's story, him telling Larry and I where he had come from, that was important to me, you know, because this can be challenging if you're not willing to do the work. And so for me, it solidified maybe that all the things that I had learned and worked for and done for many, many years, God never wastes anything. And everything was brought back for such a time as this. Everything I learned was for such a time as this. And so I'm so excited coming into this. I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm so excited to be in here because I bring with me years and years of experience. And now I found a home where what I believe fits. And so whenever I got put on the phone with Brent and I got put in front of Katie, and then I heard Darren's story, I mean, I had to think about what in the world, who puts the newbie, the brand new person, I'm a week and a half old in Partner Co. And I'm on the Zoom with a few of the team that I'd shared with the owner of the company. That made all the difference in the world. It made me feel like maybe I could be valued again. Maybe I can do this again. I hope that answered your question, Todd.
It did. It did. And every three-way is different. You got to remember this was Brenda's career. We may be talking to somebody, they think network marketing is a pyramid. They've never done it in our industry before. There's no reason to make it into the corporate management. But if you get somebody skilled in your upline involved, they're going to know how to navigate through that when sometimes brand new people, they get froze on some of those hard questions. So,
And I want to say one thing, Tammy is very skilled. I mean, she's been here a long time. Like, she's got experience here. So for her to even use the three-way says a lot.
so,
Right.
so Andrea, you're so good at everything, but we all know that your onboarding skills are just above most people's. You've got videos out there. You do a noon call every Wednesday. Make sure we share that, Sarah, that she trains on the onboarding. Make sure you get on those. You have a wisdom call you do, but yesterday Bob Budd had the couple in North Carolina that had made like 10,000 with no experience. They only wanted to be a customer, and some questions went into the chat like, how did you get them to actually do it? Because we all struggle with that. But will you walk us through like the IPA of a correct onboard? Like, how do you get your new people started, and how do you have your team growing so fast now?
Well, I would say the first thing about onboarding is giving people the space to know that this is brand new. Because sometimes people step into Partner Co. and we tell them it's so easy, it's so simple, you can just do what I do. And it is, all of that's true, but there's a lot of steps to what we do. So if you've been on any of my trainings, I literally say it's like making pancakes or teaching a 7-year-old how to make pancakes. Pancakes are easy. We can all make pancakes. But that first time that we taught our son how to make pancakes, we probably wanted to unzip our skin and run out because it was the most frustrating process. And so a lot of times when people step in and they're trying to learn boards and they're trying to learn how to post and they're trying to learn how to respond, they can get really frustrated and they beat themselves up thinking, I should know how to do this. So I would say just love your prospects, your brand partners enough to say, we're going to walk through this together. And so I will slow things down a lot to make it so that they feel safe to ask the question. So I do share the Let's Get Started video that's on like the generic team board. So it's one that everybody can use. I know there's a lot of specific team boards. So if you've got something different, use your team board because it's going to have all the great information on the back end. We just have a little bit of different stuff at the beginning that's real generic. But in that, there are these little short videos that walk you through, how to install boards, how to post using boards, how to, like all the little nitty gritty. And it's going to take somebody about 30 minutes. So I give them the space to say, go take 30 minutes, do that. And then we're going to come back. And then when they come back, then walk them through, we're going to do it together. Because I think about when I first made that post, I can tell you the date, it was July 5th of 23. And I was terrified to make my first skinny drop post. This is what feeds my family. And I was scared. I'm like, I don't want to do it. Brent's like, you got to do it. I don't want to do it. Brent says, you got to do it. Right. And so I did, and it changed so much of my business. I'm forever grateful for it, but it was scary. So if it was scary for me, imagine that new person. So realize like we're going to have to hold hands. And if I won't hold their hands, well, then I probably don't deserve to have them in my business. So I got to let that go, right?
Andrea, where are your, I know you've got a lot of recordings on your onboarding stuff. Is that on yours and Brent's YouTube channel? If so, what is that?
So it's Brent Palmer's YouTube channel. And I think it's Brent Palmer Biz is what it's called, but the link is on boards. You can, if you search Brent Palmer, just look for him, you'll find it.
And Sarah, throw that link in the chat for us real
Todd,
quick.
one of the things that Andrea does and so many great people that are trainers do, I saw Chris and Joni Budd, like they almost, and everybody on this Zoom today has this, like, position yourself to think about when 10,000 people are enrolling with me every week, what are they getting the minute they enroll? Andrea's mind works that way. So she's got an onboarding for everybody. So if Todd Rowland enrolled with me, I simply copy and paste and it says, Todd, start right here. And it drives him down through downloading boards, getting on Telegram, Facebook, where to go, where to get plugged in. And then she steps into the onboarding process immediately with them. Just yesterday, I received Joni and Chris Budd's onboarding. It was the same as Andrea's, but it was in a different location, right? Perfect. I think they use LinkedIn, but it was laid out. It was the same. So I challenge everybody on here, like, have that for your new people, like, so that, you know, even if you change it up a little bit, like take Chris and Joni's or take Andrea's or take somebody's and position yourself so that everybody, when they enroll, they're getting this onboarding to give them a chance to start that duplication process.
Last question. And Andrea, it's going to be your turn to go interview all of our new people and get the frontline IPAs of the day. But one of the things we witnessed through the years is sometimes people get really good people in their organization and they never even know they entered. Like, they come and go and gone. But you'll find that people that are prepared, they seem to keep finding good people. Like, Brenda entered a piece of Brent's organization almost simultaneously when Michelle McKay and that new team was entering another piece of it. But Brent and Andrew were ready. Brent knew the business. He knew how to answer questions, and Andrea had mastered the skinny drop system. So, well, you and Brent both maybe just share, like, when Michelle McKay entered, she knew the people. She started bringing the people in, but she didn't know the system. If it hadn't been for y'all, it would have all fallen on itself. So if y'all don't mind, just share about the preparation of learning all this, if you desire to make big money.
I was waiting for Brent to talk. I would just say that, and this is completely from Brent, but the way that we know the people that we need to connect with is to show up. So sometimes people say, like, why are you bebopping everywhere? Like, why are you in this neighborhood? Well, yes, it's to support the people that are there, but it's so we can meet the new people that are coming in and hear their stories and know where we need to focus. So that I would start with that. And then Brent, what would you add?
Yeah, it's going back to being prepared. Like, you got to prepare, because if you stay in this game and you consistently are out sharing, I'll tell you our rule of thumb is we never say no. So when someone says, can you do a call? Yes. Even if I can't, I'm locating somebody else that can. Like, I never say no. Well, when can you do it? When your prospect can. Like, is the prospect's not on, like, I can't think that I'm such a big deal that the prospect's got to wait on me. No. Find out when the prospect's got to do it. I'll make time. I'll figure out a way. And so we're prepared in that direction of we're always available, if that makes sense. And we're going to find a way. You go, how are you always available? I don't know, but we find a way. And then the other thing is, when people enroll, what are you giving your new people? Like, what are you doing? And then you got to be committed to holding their hand. And that's what Andrea was saying. Through them, after about 7 days of posting twice a day and answering and responding back and forth, they got this. But you're going to have to take them through that 7-day process. Meaning, Bob Budd said it yesterday, like, you're putting them in a boosting group. You're doing all these things, like, you're holding them. But once that 7 days, now Brenda Carlton is running, and Tammy's not having to hold Brenda's hand anymore. So that 7-day process was super important for Tammy to hold Brenda's hand. But then it becomes so valuable for Tammy months and months after that point. So many people let people fall through the crack in their first 7 days.
And Brent, that's so good. I got to jump in here. This business moves on emotion. And just like he said, you got to be ready. And you have to be willing to be inconvenienced to help the new guy. It's important, because if you don't catch them, then you can lose them. And that was one of the things that Brent did. And I saw early on, he jumped on Zooms. I called him and I said, I need you. He was at his daughter's graduation and he made a way for it to happen. And that meant the world to me. And it also showed the other people, hey, there's people here willing to help us, to do whatever it takes for us to get in front of them. So I'll never forget that, Brent. That's why I'm here, Todd.
Yeah. And, Brent and I are the same way. Ashley will tell you, I'll do a Zoom no matter what is going on in our personal life. But Brent and I both are too busy to take phone calls to hear people complain. So some people that think Brent and I are too busy to talk, you're calling us for the wrong reasons. So if you got us people to show and talk to and help you get in the business, we will find the time, I promise. And so will all of your leaders. So Andrea, we're going to throw it to you and flip this over and get this frontline IPA of the day. And by the time we get into next week, we'll get this mastered on how we're doing this new format. We'll only have one person a day, and it'll be 50-50. We'll have the new person with all the knowledge, and then we'll get all the frontline IPAs that have occurred, because the frontline IPA growth, Brent and I both will tell you, we've learned more the last 2 years listening to that than everything else we've ever learned in network marketing combined. It's just been amazing. So Andrea, all yours.